What is up, fellow benchwarmers? Welcome to another weekly episode of Fantasy Benchwarmers. And we apologize as last week wala kaming episode. Medyo nagloko yung internet ko for most of last week actually. Buong week halos. But we are back and we are going to talk a little bit about the NBA. We've had some big news actually as we are recording this. There's a big trade that just went on just now. So, pag-usapan natin rin yan. Of course, with us is Komish Eric.
Yes, hello. Hello, guys.
Yan. NBA talk tayo. Dami nangyayari. Even outside the playoffs. Kanina, pinag-usapan natin sa playoff roundup. Playoffs, ngayon, what's happening to those teams na wala na sa playoffs? Ang dami.
Sabi mo nga, first time kang naka-encounter na may trade during the playoffs.
Oh, di ba? Na-experience mo na ba yun?
Hindi. Hindi pa.
Kala ko nga, bawal mag-trade eh.
Hindi. Pwede ata, pero it's hard kasi maraming expiring contracts, di ba? So, hindi mo naman na-trade yung expiring contracts. So, usually, yun ang nagiging balakid. So, konti lang yung possible trade pieces.
In case na you don't know what we're talking about, Kemba Walker was just traded from the Boston Celtics to the OKC Thunders. Kapalit si Al Horford and Moses Brown and some picks.
Yes. And first round pick ng Boston ng kasama ni Kemba.
So OKC gets another first round pick. Actually, they have 3 na raw.
Yes.
In the 3 first round picks for this draft.
Yes.
So, and what's the logic behind that? Who wins in this trade?
At first glance for me, panalo yung OKC. Kasi they get the 16th pick this year. So malaking bagay 'yon kasi OKC values 'di ba? Ang binigay nila Al Horford has I think 2 more years left 'Di ba? 2 more years of $20 million left. Kemba I think has a bigger salary and more years left. So yun
2 years kasama yung the last year that was
Hindi.
That was finished.
No, I think he has 2 more years talaga. Kasi he signed a 4-year deal . The first year was with Philly. Tapos na-trade siya sa OKC. 'Di ba? So, 1 year with Philly, 1 year with OKC. So now, going to the 3rd year of the 4-year deal. I remember that was an $80 million deal . So, may 2 years pa. So, it's not really a big financial difference right now. But si Kemba kasi, I think his salary is bigger than Al Horford.
And Kemba wants out yata . Parang
and Kemba is not happy, yes.
There were news na he was not happy. It's very, not really weird, pero un-Kemba-like.
Un-Kemba-like ba?
Parang feeling ko lang, it's not... Tsaka, I don't know, sa Boston, parang very rare you'd see players saying na hindi sila happy .
I think kasi he wanted to be the man, diba? He wanted to be the man in Boston. Pero with Jason Tatum and then Jaylen Brown pa, nawala yung yung role niya.
Yeah, and no, pero ilang years siya sa Boston? 2 years, right?
Yeah.
Even last year hindi rin naman siya the man I guess.
Ito, I looked at the salary na. Kemba has $36 and $37 million left for the next 2 years. Which is big difference kay Al Horford, which is $20 million lang si Al Horford . So malaking salary cap relief for Boston. Yeah. So I think that's their main thinking out I think this is one of their main thinking na parang okay, we get $16 million less in our salary cap. We get a veteran who played for us before, who knows our system. And we in a position that we need, which is center position. Kasi they need a experienced center din.
Yeah.
And then I think
they need a center na facilitator.
Yeah, yung first round pick na binigay nila was for OKC to swallow the contract of Kemba, which is looking like a bad contract already. I don't know if you agree with me, pero mukhang 74 million for 2 more years, mukhang bad contract na yun, diba?
Y- yeah, I guess. Kasi ang challenge, Kemba is not really considered a superstar level player. Yun yung
At saka,
pinaka-challenge. He's not the... I mean, okay lang siya sana kung if he's a player who's very marketable and a player na parang even if your team is not winning as much, people would go watch Kemba. Hindi na siya ganun eh. I
oo.
would say if he was still with Charlotte, parang there's this loyalty, yung deal na yun would have been fine eh. Yung
Yes, yes.
parang he's the Dame Lillard of Charlotte, di ba? Na
I
parang he's there dahil matagal na siya doon, there's loyalty, and then the team respects him. Pero hindi, at this point siguro, and OKC is rebuilding, so parang it doesn't really make sense for OKC as well.
For Kemba, yes, he doesn't make sense with OKC, but we know what OKC wants to do. OKC traded for Chris Paul to trade him away again. Nasa rebuilding players lang sila eh. Kumbaga
Yeah,
sila yung
actually,
parang
kung isipin mo, this is an easy player to trade na for them kasi they were able to trade Chris Paul eh.
they were able to trade Chris Paul, plus they were able to trade Al Horford.
Yeah.
I mean, for OKC, ang problema ng OKC is not over salary eh. Under salary ang OKC. They need to pay someone.
Yeah.
So, wala sa kanila yung additional $16 million eh. Ang malaking bagay sa kanila, nakakuha pa sila ng 16th pick out of Al Horford's contract, which is considered one of the untradeable contracts in the NBA.
Yeah.
So I think Kemba will probably there's a chance Kemba will play in OKC. There's a chance. So let's see lang kung meron pang magawang magic si Sam Presti at matrade pa niya ito for another first round pick, I guess.
Yeah.
If it happens.
So it's also possible that OKC is not yet finished or not yet done moving pieces. Pero I think in fairness naman to Kemba and OKC, I think Kemba would be a good veteran who can lead that team.
Parang
Diba?
linuloko lang natin sarili natin eh. Mukha naman wala silang pakialam kung may veteran o hindi. Gusto lang nila first round pick eh.
Sabagay.
Yun lang yung habol nila eh.
Hindi, lalaruin mo na rin eh. So, might as well, di ba? Get someone who's, kahit pa. Pero, mahirap rin sabihin eh. At least he's not as old as Horford or doesn't act as old as Horford. So, at least.
But let's talk about the fantasy kasi fantasy impact nito. Nitong deal
assuming everyone stays still, anong fantasy impact nito? Malaking fantasy impact nito kay Kemba.
I don't like it for Kemba. For sure.
Sino bang point guard ng OKC?
Well, Theo Maledon, SGA, diba? Yun lang naman eh. Theo Maledon, SGA. Sino ba yung, meron pa bang iba?
They have Dort.
Dort. They have Kenrich Williams who plays some point guard. Pero, in general,
Si
lahat
Jerome, Ty Jerome.
Ty Jerome. Pero, all the point guards who are playing point guard for them, it's really, yung talagang long term is SGA. And SGA can play with Kemba, so there's no problem with that.
Yeah.
Diba? But we saw what they did with Al Horford last year. He was playing well. Al Horford was playing okay naman, not really well, pero wala siyang injury nung shut down siya. Early on, it wasn't even like last 3-4 weeks. Early on, shut down na siya because they couldn't trade him. And I think mas mahirap pang i-trade si Kemba right now than Al Horford. So there's a possibility hindi rin siya ma-trade. There's a possibility what happened to Al Horford will happen to Kemba. So fantasy-wise, I don't like this for Kemba Walker, and is somebody that I may not target at all next season if he stays with OKC. I won't target him. Of course.
Or well, depende siguro sa round. With what round would he still be available? Kasi in the past years, he's usually going mga 5th, 6th round, di ba? Minsan 5th, 4th round, di ba? I don't think I'm pretty sure someone will get him at that level.
You think?
Oo. For some managers, isipin nila, no other players. who can
Ako,
score, who can facilitate their top point guard.
pero ako, I would warn all of you from doing that. Even 5th, even 6th, even 7th round. I
Actually,
would
makes
really
sense
warn
na may
you.
sinabi mo.
Kasi Al Horford was what? 100 pick na nga si Al Horford. We felt that, mukhang marami nagsasabi, hindi lang tayo, yung mga sila Dan Besbris, yung mga hoop ball.
Sulit na.
Sulit. And then when they had their mock drafts, naalala ko yun, I was watching, and then when someone picks Al Horford at 100 something, hey, that's a steal. That's a steal because he's gonna have a bounce back year. He's gonna have OKC. He's gonna do this, gonna do that. Pero no one expected ma-shutdown siya, what, before All-Star break or just after All-Star break, na-shutdown na siya. And he was already resting back-to-backs there. Diba? So, what more itong si Kemba? So, I don't recommend talaga na iba si Chris Paul eh. If people will go back to Chris Paul, sabihin ko, Chris Paul, nung time na yon, OKC was fighting for the playoffs. I mean, they were there. They were winning eh. So, they had no choice. Hindi naman nila pwedeng i-shutdown si Chris Paul when they were in the playoff hunt. Now kasi, wala nang hiya-hiya.
And ibang level din si Chris Paul.
Yeah.
Compared to Kemba, I guess. Kasi si Chris Paul, like we say, parang superstar level eh.
Yes.
Si Kemba, siguro 2 levels below. Diba?
That's true.
A level below would be around mga, Westbrook is a superstar, pero a level below siguro yung mga, sino ba mga level below dyan na point guard?
Mike Conley?
Mike Conley, feeling ko on same level ni Kemba eh. Baka nga higher ng konti si Kemba.
Ako, I would feel Mike Conley's higher level. Pero pwedeng same level, yeah. Possible.
Possible same level. Mga Lowry siguro.
Mga Lowry, pwedeng ganun.
Mga close or a little higher ng konti si Lowry. Dahil mas mataas minsan yung usage ni Lowry. Pero, actually, interesting yan. Actually, unang naisip ko talaga, like, yun nga, sabi ko sa'yo, unang naisip ko, good to for Kemba. Pero, you refreshing us with the Al Horford situation, possible nga na hindi. Pero, let's talk about Al Horford ngayon.
This one is different. Al Horford last year before he was shut down.
Would you trust na gagamitin nila si Al Horford?
I would. Because, kabaliktaran nung kay Kemba. I think people will undervalue Al Horford thinking of Robert Williams. Yun. Time Lord. Time Lord will get a hit here. Time Lord will get a hit. And remember, they also got Moses Brown. So, biglang lumalim ang center rotation nila. So people will be a little wary of Al Horford, but I would not, because I would pick him up in the value that he will be when he moves past 100. When people don't pick him in the top 100, maybe in the 100, 101, 102 range, I think he's a value there. In Boston.
Yeah.
In Boston. Yes.
Definitely most likely better value than last year's value. Al Horford value na nakuha natin. Pero that's gonna be a medyo challenging rin yun in terms of rotation. Is Tristan Thompson still under contract with them?
Oo nga, no?
Parang may 1 year pa Tristan Thompson eh.
Pero I think they would be doing some more moves. They don't have a point guard right now. Diba? They don't have a point.
Wala.
They don't have a point guard right now, so I think there would be some more moves.
No, they can elevate si Pritchard.
Possible, but I think a point guard
they don't need a high scoring or a big name point guard eh.
That's possible. There would be possible moves there. I think if it stays like this, I think Tristan Thompson will be moving. I would think Robert Williams will stay. And they will just look for a point guard to plug in there. So I think Horford is okay. Robert Williams takes a hit. Moses Brown takes a big hit.
Wala na. I don't think they'll draft Moses Brown.
But remember, Moses
Unless
Brown
they make another move, of course.
Had his best game against Boston. So naalala siguro ni Brad. Naalala mo yun? Yung ilan rebounds pa siya noon? Yung first half pa lang, 20 nata.
Parang,
Boston yon. That was against Boston. So,
wala na, hindi ko na maalala yung mga stats ni Moses Brown kasi pahuli, wala. Forgettable stats na eh.
Hindi, pero yung...
may isang game na sobrang puputok siya.
Yun, against Boston. Yun yung game na nakilala ng tao. Sino ba tong Moses Brown? Then sinasabi natin, ito yung sinasabi namin G League, whatever, Moses Brown.
Oo.
That was against Boston. I think he had a double-double in
Hindi,
the
hindi pa
first
to
game.
yung best game niya.
Yun yung best game niya.
Hindi, may isa pa against Washington yata or something.
Not sure. Pero alam ko yung best game niya yung Boston eh. Kasi yung first quarter pa lang, double-double na siya nun eh. Kasi everybody was like, okay, Moses Brown. So parang, baka i-develop pa siya. So
yeah, medyo bata pa naman si Moses Brown eh. So,
yeah.
So I think may room for development. Baka i-develop nila somewhat like Time Lord level. Kasi Time Lord naman, hindi naman yan ganyan at the start eh, di ba?
Yeah. So, I think the possible situation is a timeshare between Time Lord and Horford. So, yun lang. Yun ang magiging ano. Ako, I just said I like Horford here is because feeling ko mapipick siya sa mga 100 plus. So, at that level, okay na siya. Pero kung pipick mo siya at 70, 80, 60,
baka too high.
Too high.
Yeah.
Walang upside.
70, 80, that's like peak Horford eh. Hindi, a little below. Peak Horford, mga 5th round eh.
Higher naman to naman.
5th? Higher than 5th?
Parang bata ka pa eh. Naabutan mo pa nung second round si Al Horford.
Second round?
Ka pa dyan?
Ay, oo nga.
Sa second round pa na si Al Horford dati.
Naalala ko na. Atlanta days. So yun, that's the fresh news from Woj Bomb. Very early. Hindi pa tapos yung playoffs. Meron na kagad na trade. Pero in other news sa NBA as well, coaching vacancies ang dami. Indiana, Orlando, we have 7 teams without coaches. And I wouldn't be surprised among the naiiwang teams if meron dyang mga natanggal. Baka may mga madagdag doon sa
Milwaukee. Bucks. The Bucks.
Siya lang bang in danger? Parang no?
Natawa nga ako kasi may nabasa akong article na Rick Carlisle is in the running for the head coaching job of the Bucks. Isip ko, parang naglalaro pa ang Bucks. Parang ganun ka-disrespected na si Bud.
Well, tingnan natin. Baka naman hindi mangyari, di ba? But yes, 7 vacancies. Among all these, what's the most promising siguro? If you were a candidate, what team would you want to have or be?
Hindi natin sasama yung Bucks.
Hindi pa. Hindi pa.
Bakit hindi?
Pero maganda to maganda tong list na to kasi these are like Orlando is a promising team considering that they have very young talent, although not as promising as maybe New Orleans kasi New Orleans have better, parang Orlando is the poor man's version of New Orleans puro young talents, pero New Orleans medyo higher level na yung mga talents nila. Mavericks and Portland probably on the same level with A-list stars, di ba? Like Kristaps and Luka, tapos sa kabila si Dame and CJ McCollum. And Washington siguro, ganun din. They have the 2 players. Pero maybe Boston. Yan. Actually, ang dami palang teams na to. Loaded with talent rin talaga eh.
Ako, if it's ang maganda dito kasi like Orlando as you mentioned, the coach they will pick will definitely be a developmental coach, a younger coach probably.
Yeah.
Yun eh. Among these teams, sila lang talaga yung tipong talagang rebuilding kami. Indiana nasa 50-50 pa eh. But ako yung coach, lowest priority ko Orlando and Indiana because talagang yung isa rebuilding, yung isa possible na mapunta sa rebuilding. Yung Indiana, possible na mapunta sa rebuilding. Yung best for me among here is definitely Dallas.
If you want to win. Yun yung
not just want to win. I want to coach Luka. Diba? I want to coach Luka. It's like coaching
and
LeBron.
All the ano ba tawag doon? The pros and cons of coaching Luka. Kasi hindi rin madali to coach superstars.
That's true. But Luka yung pinaka may chance ako mag-champion eh. Sorry to Dame Lillard, no? I mean, Portland, sabi nga ni Jeremy nung versus Denver, they have a very good team. Parang may name value.
Name-wise, yes.
Pero I think it's past already. Yung time ni Portland, unless they're gonna trade Dame Lillard, wala na eh. Kumbaga, they've reached the peak at this team, ano man ang mangyari, I think wala na, hindi mag-champion yung team na yan. So I'm saying if
mahirap.
mahirap talaga unless they would trade CJ McCollum, they would trade everybody, they will restart.
If there was a year that they could have done it was this year. 'Di ba? Kasi this year parang wide open yung race eh. So medyo this year yung would have been a good year for them to do it if ever. Yan, medyo nawala lang yung audio ni Komish. Pero siguro tinig mo ba ako, Komish? Okay. So yun, if merong year Portland would have been close to that title, ito siguro yun. Kasi walang clear favorites. Even up to now, di ba? With players getting injured. Pero wala eh, hindi umabot eh. So baka mahirap rin. Mahirap nga rin to coach a team like Portland. Boston is actually intriguing. Kasi Boston, I mean, kahit pa paano, they have two very young stars or superstars in the making eh. Diba? So parang interesting rin yung Boston eh, with Jaylen Brown and Jason Tatum. Wala. May feedback eh.
Hello?
Yeah, yun.
Meron?
Yeah, meron.
Meron? Okay.
Sige, wait, i-ano ko para i-cut ko yung part niyan. We are back after some technical issues, technical difficulties. So,
Sorry.
we were talking about, I was talking about Boston. Boston is an interesting destination din kasi maybe Luka would give you the best chance to win a title. Pero Boston naman is a team that have two superstars din in the making.
Tama
Diba?
yun. Tama yun. The Jaylen Brown Tatum combo mukhang ano rin, may potential din yung combo na yan.
Oo. Ang problem naman sa Mavericks, they have probably the most marketable superstar in Luka. But walang support eh. Unlike this, we all know one superstar can't cut it to win a title.
Yeah, I agree. Pero I would bet on Dallas finding that complementary players around Luka because Luka is the once in a generation player. Parang LeBron. Yeah. Pero I like Boston. Siguro I don't like Boston lang in a sense na gaano ka involved si Brad Stevens in the coaching process. Kasi parang Pat Riley.
Parang Phil Jackson type.
Parang Pat Riley and Eric Spoelstra. 'Di ba? You have to be really an Eric Spoelstra kind of na parang Pat Riley will really will really support you na tipong pag natatalo. Siyempre, the fans will clamor for Pat Riley to coach the team again. Mukhang ganun mangyayari.
Ganun yung nangyari nung start, right?
Oo. 'Di ba? So yun ang takot mo na mangyari yun with Brad Stevens. So 'di ba? Kailangan medyo strong.
Considering na Brad Stevens is a very young executive.
How old lang si Brad Stevens, 'di ba?
Baka ka-age lang natin yun eh.
Age bata ako dun.
Bata pa yun si Brad Stevens. So kung ako siguro, how about New Orleans? Okay, so
yeah.
New Orleans is another team with Zion. So
that's my second option.
So Mavericks ka, then New Orleans?
Yes. Mavericks and New Orleans. Again, it boils down to Luka for me. It boils down to Luka. Pero I like New Orleans. It has young talent. It has a good GM in David Griffin, and I think up and coming yung team. So
Of all the coaches that were na tinanggal, who do you think there would come back next year?
Terry
In
Stotts,
teams.
Rick Carlisle, Terry Stotts definitely will be. Steve Clifford ng Orlando, I think he will be coming back next year. Yung iba like Scott Brooks,
Brooks.
possible din Scott Brooks. Ang sure akong hindi yung sa Indiana si Nate Brogdon or something.
Ganda naman start niya.
Hindi babalik yan. Hindi makukuha after what happened, after the rumors. Stan Van Gundy, I think he's done already.
I think Stan Van Gundy was ewan ko, if teams weren't really as high on him as
Yeah.
But, I mean, he may be a good coach pero wala na masyadong too old na siguro. Similar to his brother na si Jeff. Always in the rumor mill pero I don't think their passion is there to coach again.
Hindi, ang problem with Stan, ang rumors was that Zion and Ingram did not click with him kasi they found him too strict, too rigid. So, new generation na ng players to
Diba naalala ko nga when JJ Redick was still in New Orleans and he found out na si Stan Van Gundy yung coach nila. Parang sinabi niya he has to go through all of those things again. Veteran na siya, diba? So parang ayaw na yung pagdaanan ulit yung which naging coach si diba?
Stan Van Gundy sa Orlando.
Yeah, so that says a lot about yung regimen na binibigay ni Stan Van Gundy sa team nila. Pero having said that, don't you think it's a little young players now are very entitled already? Kasi isn't that the hard work that you put in to be great players?
I would say na meron talagang generational, I guess, characteristic na parang itong mga bagong younger players, they want more control. Hindi sila yung parang yes, sige, bata pa kami, so
pero this is all about hard work. Like,
I guess,
Kobe would have welcomed those strict regimens na ibibigay ng coach.
This is a different generation. I think they feel like it's not about doing things your way. It's not about doing things the old-fashioned way if we have a better way of doing it. So, I think yun kay Zion kasi it was the messaging for him na parang masyado daw si Stan Van Gundy, masyadong makulit, ma-strict, maganyan. Siguro he wanted more freedom as a star player of New Orleans. I agree with you na other players before like Kobe and those stars.
Generation nila.
Oo. Pero wala, ibang generation na ngayon. So, I think spoiled, possibly. Hindi lang naman sa NBA yan In general naman, the generation nowadays and tayo.
And kaya ako naman nabagit yun kasi there have been reports already that Zion was not happy, Luka was not happy. These young players weren't happy with the management or with the coaches, diba? Kaya the coaches left. Like si Zion, yun nga. Actually, yung kay Zion nga, it was not really Zion na sinasabing not happy.
Family.
Just the people around him who was not happy. Which makes it worse.
Yun ang nakakatakot. Kasi Zion's family, the father and the others, and maraming issues There was already a lot of issues even before the start na nag-NBA siya. Marami ng issues.
Yeah, they were investigated din, di ba? For the bribery, ano ba yan? Yung getting money from before going to college.
And you would know that Zion wanted to play in New York. Everybody knows that.
Yeah.
Zion wants to play in New York. So, sooner or later, he's gonna force himself there. Kawawa lang ang Pelicans because after Anthony Davis, eto na, Zion naman. Na, third year pa lang, incoming third year.
Saka sayang because they have a very good young team.
That is why they have to nail this coaching hire.
Yeah. And among those that, yung mga natanggal na coaches, ang hirap rin to pick Kaya there are a lot of names that are coming out. Like Jason Kidd. Mga players, former players are matunog eh. Parang yun yung nagiging trend eh.
Alam mo si
Players want former players. More than...
Former players saka female coaches.
Yan yung mga matunog ngayon. Former players and female coaches who were players din.
Yes.
Diba? Kasi pinakamatunog dyan, Becky Hammon of course. Si Don Staley of, anong team siya sa WNCAA? Don Staley sa coach eh. Memphis yata or...
pero ang matunog talaga si Becky Hammon. Tapos ngayon si Teresa Witherspoon. If you remember him.
Ayan, yan. Yeah. So, female and former players kasi they always feel that former players should understand these players more.
Teresa Witherspoon was New Orleans assistant coach right this year. So, may balak atang i-elevate sa head coaching position, which I don't know her, I don't know the dynamics, but I won't recommend that because syempre medyo new territory diba? So baka mag Terry Stotts or mag Chauncey Billups.
Very interesting then if someone hires a coach like Becky Hammon. Kasi siguro of all the female coaches na binabanggit, Becky Hammon has the most decorated resume given that he was coaching the G League team na ng San Antonio, di ba?
Yes.
And he is behind lead assistant na ngayon rin yata siya behind Popovich eh.
Mm-mm.
So siya na yung pinaka mataas sa hierarchy siguro of the coaching hierarchy. Pero do you see a female coach this season?
Yes.
Next season?
Yes.
At least one, no?
I think Becky Hammon. will be hired. It's just me, but mukhang sa mga nabasa kong articles, she really is impressive daw. So, I think one of these coaches, I would not be surprised if it's Orlando or maybe one of the rebuilding teams would take a shot with Becky.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be shocked also if Greg Popovich suddenly retires middle of the season or whatever. Tapos
True. Kasi Popovich is also coaching the US men's team.
Yeah.
Diba? Sa summer. So baka pagod na rin. And you can already see it minsan kay Popovich eh. Parang hindi na siya as engaged, I guess, as before. So parang na lang, medyo, sige, routine na lang and go with the flow na lang. Or,
ako, tama yun. Ako, sa mga rumors nito, I'm pinaka-interested in the Mike D'Antoni to Portland.
Mike D'Antoni yan. Oh,
yeah, Mike D'Antoni to Portland rumor. If it happens, that would be big fantasy-wise. I don't know how high Damian Lillard can go if he goes with Mike D'Antoni, but it should be really high.
Yeah.
So yan, interesting yan. Yan ang interested ako.
And parang good fit din, no?
Yeah.
Perfect fit eh. Kasi even the second man ni Dame, yung kumbaga the Robin to the Batman. Scorer din eh. Diba?
So ako, I'm really praying na Mike D'Antoni goes to Portland. I just want to see it. Talagang super-sized yung Portland yan. I mean, CJ McCollum, if Norman Powell resigns there, Norman Powell, Dame Lillard, yan, you should be targeting next year if that happens. And
you can say all the things you can about Mike D'Antoni not having defense, pero if you look at the Houston teams that he handled, they were quite underrated sa defensive side kasi they were small pero they can play defense.
Yeah.
And small ball talaga is so hindi natin alam ano mo yung impact niyan with sina Nurkic or sina Kanter kung makakalaro pa yung mga yan under D'Antoni. Other coaching Jason Kidd, Chauncey Billups, yung mga names that were popping out. Si Luka naman was not also happy with management kaya daw Rick Carlisle stepped down. Which is interesting kasi parang may mga backstories pa tong kay Luka eh. Kasi Rick Carlisle was backed up by Mark Cuban.
Yes.
After the season, right? After the season, tinanong kagad siya eh, di ba? If he's coming back. And maayos naman yung sagot ni Cuban. He said na parang it's not as easy as, sabi pa niya, it's not always greener on the other side.
Tama.
So, many were surprised that Carlisle stepped down.
Yeah. I think Rick Carlisle saw the writing on the wall. Kasi maraming layers to. Pag-usapan natin yung isang bagong person na involved ngayon sa Dallas, which is Bob Bulgaris or something. He became an analytical advisor to Mark Cuban. Tapos sobra siyang favored ni Mark Cuban. He was nakikinig si Mark Cuban sa kanya and everything. Usually naman yung ganyan, okay lang. Kasi personal moves daw siya na yung in charge. Ang problem with Rick Carlisle is that itong Bob person na to, was meddling even in his rotations and game plans. And as a coach, I think pagka ganun, medyo no-no na yun sa'yo eh, di ba?
Yeah,
although your boss still feels na, yeah, you're the coach. Pero kung merong isang, alam niyo yan, sa company, may isang, sige, oo nga, paborito ako ni boss, pero paborito ka rin ni boss. Tapos papayag siya na makisaw-saw ko sa trabaho ko. Mahirap yun, di ba? And dahil doon, nakaka-affect doon sa relationship niya with Luka. Nakaka-affect with the relationship with Luka. Di ba? Kasi Luka, mas parang, ano ka ba? Magsabihin lang ni Bob na start mo si ganyan, start mo na eh. So, di ba? Who's in charge here? So, alam niyang no-win siya eh. No-win situation, that's why he resigned.
Ako ang theory ko lang dito, medyo sinisiraan din tong Dallas organization eh. Kay Luka. Kasi Luka is eligible to sign max extension, di ba?
Which he will sign, he said.
Well, he said, but until you put your name on the dotted line, wala pa yan.
He will sign. He can ask to be traded, but he will sign that. For sure.
Yeah. Most likely, kasi,
Bata
pero, sa bagay, but yun na sabi ko, parang other teams might be just pulling out these strings just to make Luka not sign that extension. Kasi he will be a hot commodity pag nag-free agent yan next 2 years from now.
Yeah. Hindi,
next year.
Yeah, pang ilang year na ba niya? Pang 4th year niya.
This year hindi siya free agent, so next year.
Pero pwede na siya mag-sign ng max this year.
Yeah, this year. Pwede na siya mag-sign ng max extension.
So restricted free agent siya next year if hindi siya mag-sign ng max.
So yun. Yun lang yung theory ko kasi the whole season wala ka naman, well, at least ako wala naman ako narinig until at the end of the season wherein
pero yung Bob issue, sige, isang issue yan. Yung Carlisle and Luka issue.
Sabi meron din daw may issue din between Carlisle and Luka nga.
Meron. Yun ang totoo. Yun talaga is verifiable because kahit naman nung playoff, di ba, nang time out si Carlisle. Nakita mo yung sinigawan siya ni Luka, di ba? Nung game yun? Game 5?
Hindi ko na matandaan eh.
Game 6. Yun yung up sila ng 7, tapos bigyan ng timeout si Carlisle. Tapos sinigawan siya ni Luka na don't call a timeout if you don't need a timeout. I've told you a lot of times already not to do that. Tapos umupo lang siya. Tapos nag-explain si Carlisle after the game, which as a coach, if it's a non-issue, you do not have to explain. He explained to the media. He explained why he called the timeout. So defensive ka na parang, kasi usually pagka ganun, wala, it's between him and me. Parang it's our own thing. Parang defend niya, sabi niya, the TV timeout was coming up. So I saw them that they were a little bit tired. So I wanted to call a timeout. So explain pa niya. So yung issue with Luka and Carlisle, that's legit.
I would believe na kung bakit nag-step down si Carlisle is because of that. So, and this Mavericks team or vacancy would definitely be one of the most sought after. Kasi, Luka the chance the chance to coach Luka. Pero ako talaga, it's either the Mavs or Boston if I was the coaching, yan yung mga gusto kong puntahan. Yung Washington, we haven't really talked about Washington, pero it's another messy job to be in considering na nandiyan si Westbrook and Beal and Washington seems to be wala naman masyadong patutunguhan pa at this point. Pero rare yan for Washington. Washington is not known to fire coaches quickly.
Well, they didn't fire. The Scott Brooks contract expired. And then they
They didn't resign na.
talking about extending. Pero I guess mas malaki ang gusto ni Scott Brooks. Scott Brooks was asking for more than what Washington was willing to give. So they just decided to, we won't pay you that much. So they just decided not to extend the contract. And I read somewhere na parang Washington daw should get a coach that if ma-nail nila ng coach na to, could be a Phoenix situation now. Which for me, I was thinking, it's a stretch. I mean, kasi sa feeling ng lahat, Monty Williams was the reason why Phoenix became what Phoenix is right now. Which is true. I mean,
partly true.
Yeah. And they feel the Washington situation can be similar to Phoenix. Which for me, maybe not. But I don't know. Depends.
Hindi, come on guys. It's Chris Paul who's the main reason kung bakit nandun si Phoenix. If wala si Chris Paul doon, chances are they've been out. Wala na sila ngayon.
Babaw ang tingin mo kay Russell Westbrook
Hindi. Ibig sabihin, it's not really a coaching, yung Phoenix situation is not really a coaching issue. But partly, of course. Kasi syempre, may effect pa rin yung coach di ba? But,
I guess it's a combination. It was the coach.
It's a combination. Pero siguro mga 60% of that is all about Chris Paul really, or 70% of it was really about Chris Paul. Dito naman sa Washington, this is probably mas mahirap kasi itong team na to because they're not as good even without Westbrook or in past years, diba? Like tong Phoenix na to, during the bubble, they showed promise already. Diba? So it will be a tricky situation. Pero interesting din. Pero ito, last na before we go, LeBron James spoke out, diba? About this season having started too early. Diba? Do you think, is it too early? Kanina pinag-usapan na natin sa playoff roundup Dapat hindi na tayo umaangal about injuries as fans kasi nga it made the playoffs and the season parang more unpredictable.
They started early. They started too early. I agree with that. But come on. I mean, LeBron kasi he can afford not starting early. Kasi yung mawawala sa kanya, wala lang yun Pero I heard na yung union.
Kaya niya bawiin sa Space Jam
Galit si LeBron sa union ngayon with Chris Paul. Medyo yung relationship daw ni LeBron and Chris Paul, close friends, medyo nasisira dahil nga daw sa mga decisions ni Chris Paul this year.
Kala ko dahil natalo
starting early, tapos yung All-Star game na pumayag si Chris Paul na ayaw ni LeBron, sabi niya, di ba, ayaw rin niya yun.
Yeah.
So yung mga yon na parang hindi siya agree. So I think saying these things out loud is parang shots fired against Chris Paul and against the NBA na don't do that. Pero for me, sobrang crybaby. I mean, sinabi niya na parang maraming injuries, maraming ganyan. But
mga Chris Paul, ano dyan?
Hindi. I mean,
LeBron fans.
Crybaby. I mean, paano mo sabihin na because your team got injured this year dahil na dun yun? Di ba?
Not just your team, but you got injured this. Di ba?
But the fact is, they were last year, siya yung nag-benefit sa injuries di ba? I mean, Miami din ng Bam Adebayo. Miami din in the finals, di ba? Tapos, sino pa? Ang daming injuries din last year So, in the bubble pa yun. So, injuries are part of the game.
Yeah, they are.
If you ask me if they started early, yes, they started early. But it's required. It's to get your money, to get your moolah. You have to sacrifice a little.
Tama ka, injuries are part of it. And sometimes it's really just about luck. Diba? Injuries is just about kung swerte ka or medyo minalas ka that year na injure ka, diba? It's really not about... Kasi some players naman, even without a shortened season, some players maybe play the Olympics.
Yeah.
Diba? I mean, and superstars at that, diba?
At saka ito pa, yung bubble, 22 lang ang naglaro. Yung 8 hindi naglaro. Diba? Tapos yung 22 naglaro, di ba 16 ang umabot ng, or 24 pala naglaro or something. 16 lang nag-playoff. So yung 14, yung 8 na, naglaro lang 8 games, tapos wala na. Di ba? So,
Yeah.
half of the league, basically, I mean, di ba?
Half
Matagal
the league, wala. Yes.
matagal yung break ng half of the league. Ngayon, kung tama pa yung mga na-out ng first round, basically talagang yung mga na-affect dyan, yung 4 or 6 na went far into the playoff, which is LeBron is one of them. Miami is another. As we saw what happened to them this year.
Denver is another.
Yeah, ganun talaga eh. That's how it is. You cannot.
And it's not like lahat naman ng teams ganoon eh. I mean, Utah is relatively healthy. They went a little deeper in the playoffs.
First round lang sila. Hindi sila umabot ng farther.
Di ba sila second?
Hindi. First round yun. Yung Denver, Utah, di ba?
And then second round, Denver versus
Clippers.
Okay, Denver Clippers.
So yes, it medyo I agree. I can see where LeBron's coming from. Parang they were dealt the unlucky hand. Kumbaga, parang we had only 60 days to rest. Tapos we're gonna do this again. And look at what happened to us. Puro injured kami.
Yeah.
Pero yun ang part of the game. Ganun talaga. Di bumawi ka next year. Kayo naman ngayon ang rested. Kasi out ka na eh. So, next year ka bumawi. Ganun talaga yun.
And next year, shortened pa rin yung break kasi after, di ba? After, if you look at it, medyo shortened pa rin.
Yeah.
Kasi we end July. The NBA ends July, sometime July.
23.
And then September, start na ng training camp. Alam ko eh.
Yes.
In between, there's still the possible Olympics.
So it's now pabor kay LeBron. So let's see kung ano naman sabihin niya.
Yeah, let's see. Pero yeah, again, they can afford it. Superstars can afford that less games. Pero yung siguro mga 80% of the league or 70% of the league, they can't afford fewer games eh.
And ito pa, if LeBron feels na kaya na-injure si Anthony Davis dahil konti lang yung rest, he'll be disappointed. Anthony Davis will be injured every year. So, to LeBron, if you're watching,
if you're listening, huwag
ka nang mag-expect na si Anthony Davis magiging healthy. I-trade mo na lang siya. Kung ako sa'yo. At natalo ka na kay Kyle Kuzma.
Oh. So, yun. Mahirap eh. I mean, injuries part of the game. I agree with that. And then, yun yeah. Swertihan lang about the injuries. Plus, it's a money thing and it's a business. Tayo nga, we're not really involved. Pero I feel that yung mga mid-level players would really be affected with that. And again, it's a players union and NBA decision. Eh. So it's not like the NBA forced the schedule down the players' throats na ito schedule basta maglaro lang kayo, or the owners na pinilit nila yung players nila just to play. It's not like that. You had representatives, so parang if ayaw niyo yung representative, just vote for you once, I guess.
Feeling ko crybaby kasi in a sense na alam niya he doesn't have the numbers. Kasi, di ba?
Yeah.
Majority kasi is hindi naman.
So dadaan niya sa media eh. Dadaan niya sa media. And yeah, and being the face of the meron kang ganung luxury, I guess. But again, wala na, patapos na rin. And it's been exciting playoffs kahit papaano. I mean,
okay naman.
Lots of unexpected things happening. Of course, the injuries are there, pero exciting pa rin. And tomorrow, later pala, today na pala, tomorrow ko pala, Saturday ko pala ito i-release, malalaman natin if the Hawks move on, or the Clippers move on, or the 76ers and the Jazz survive. Alright, that's a quick weekly episode. Most of the news lang that came out during the playoffs as we wind down the NBA season. And yeah, hope you enjoyed it. Hope na comment kayo if you have some thoughts and you feel like meron kayong violent reactions sa mga pinag-usapan namin. And yeah, we'll see you again. Kailan ba tayo? On the next playoff roundup.
Monday,
yes. The next playoff roundup on Monday. We'll see kung ano na yung balita. Alright. Bye guys. Have a great day.